So I'm going to do a reaction video here on Maurice Warou's astral entity attachment and infestations. I've been working with the subject of entities for over 30 years. So I have some experience with it, and I've helped people spot and handle and detach from entities and demons and astral parasites and incubus and succubus, all this stuff. So I'm curious about what she has to say about it. Maybe I can learn something. There's always room for learning new things. Here we go.
First of all, this subject is very large. It is one of my favorite ones, and I feel it is very important, especially because there is so little information about astral entities on Earth, mostly because most of it is heavily controlled by the Cabal of Earth, and by their religions, therefore not of public domain. The general population is left only with anecdotal and empirical knowledge coming from the people who have studied this phenomenon, and with whatever filters down from the controllers, leaving the people with hardly any hard evidence and scientific data on the subject. Needless to say, science on Earth is incapable of objectively studying this phenomenon as well as anything that has to do with the astral realms or with the ether, as it doesn't even exist for them.
Right. For science, it has to do with proof. Okay. And proof means physical universe measure and weigh and determine things from a physical nature. And this entity stuff is not physical. It's in another dimension, a different realm. Yeah, that's a long subject too, and a long conversation, but yeah.
Yet for non-human science such as the Tagetan one, this subject, astral entities and astral realms, is a fully accepted scientific subject to study, and there is a lot of data about it.
Yeah, that will be, in my opinion, is because these Tagetan and other advanced ET races, not only are they experientially familiar with the phenomena themselves, but their instruments are extremely sophisticated, and even a mental image, if you like imagine an apple, that is made out of energy of one kind or another, and they obviously have technology and instruments that can measure that kind of mental phenomena. They can measure and perceive and quantify mental energy, thought form energy, thus thought form entities, egregors, the imagination, and other sentient beings that are not in a physical body. So they have the advanced technology to scale and measure that, so it can be within the realm of their scientific research and development and expertise. Whereas here on Earth, they don't have the instrumentation, they can't see it, they can't measure it, it doesn't exist for them. Blah, blah, blah.
So I will continue to share whatever I can about this vast subject, adding to the videos I have already published about it. Each creature, such as Lyrian humans, or any other, has a limited range of perception that is dictated by the capacity of their physical senses.
Right. When we move into a physical body, we stop seeing with our psychic ability. Most people do. Some people will still have some psychic abilities, but when we move into a physical body, we are experiencing the world through the physical senses. The physical brain interprets the senses, the touch, the feel, the temperature, the pain, the pleasure, what comes through the eyes and the ears and all that stuff. And we process it, and this is how we experience our physical now experience. So people are not going to see entities unless they are using their sixth sense or their psychic sense or their intuition or their knowing, all this spiritual phenomena and perception. Because each of us has spiritual perception. We are not dependent on our physical bodies to perceive, hear, feel, and experience life. But when we're not in a physical body, when we're out of body, we're astral traveling, or we're in a non-physical realm of some sort, we're engaged, but we're using our spiritual ability to perceive and experience, not our physical body. So when you get out of body, for example, and you look at things, you will often see things at very high resolution, so to speak, very high density, very high, very crisp, experiential. The sense of depth, for example. You get a sense of depth here in the physical world. Oh, yeah, it's 10 feet away. Oh, it's a mile away. I can see the mountains out in the distance. Yeah, it's a sense and a feel for distance. But when you're out of body or not in a physical body, experiencing similar phenomena, that depth experience is deeper, it's more visceral. It's like, wow, I can really sense the distance and the space, as well as the color and the feel and the emotions and everything else. So being in a physical body, see, this physical universe is a dream world. It's another belief system territory. It's another manifestation of thought, but it's a very dense level of thought, and it's also co-created with the other beings that are within this matrix or this dreamscape we call physical reality. And when we're in this density, we experience it through the avatar, and we look at it and experience it that way, and we just don't have the same level of perception and experience that we have when we're out of this physical avatar thingy. Okay?
But if they cannot see or perceive something, it doesn't mean it is not there and does not exist. Same way, human technology cannot detect anything in the astral, or very limitedly, like when using sensitive infrared cameras, while Tagetan and other star races technology can, and very effectively. So for star races with high technology, the astral is not an esoteric theory, and everything there is very real, and can be studied very objectively. Everything that exists holds a vibration, and that is the oscillations per unit of time that energy particles have, and that dictates how they form matter and mass, as well as the different types of energy that we know about. To be able to perceive or detect anything in any vibrational range, the vibration must be equalized, or be the same, much as when you tune into a radio station where you can start to listen to that specific music being transmitted there, while
Absolutely. That's how you do it. That's how you channel surf the multiverse. It has to do with your frequency and your focus and intention. So, if you are in your out-of-body experience and you think a thought, you don't just think the thought, you also tune into it spiritually with your vibrational frequency. You can literally look, you've seen this in special effects movies where a dead, lifeless forest or garden, for example, gets a spell, a happy spell cast upon it, and you see in the special effects everything come to life. And now it's full of vegetation and flowers, and it's very bright and vivid, where a moment ago it was dark and icky. Same place, different frequency. So it can happen like that in your out-of-body experience. You can be in a place and see a bunch of dead trees and dirty buildings and dead grass and all that stuff, and you can literally increase your vibration with intention. Feel lighter, brighter, happier, faster, love, right? Joy. And literally your environment around you will shift. Now the question is, are you shifting into another realm, or are you creating another realm around you? So that's a fun question. You can take it either way, but it's your imagination, your intention, your ability to imagine it and experience it as a mental phenomena manifests as your physical experience in these other realms. You touch a tree, It's physical in the perspective of you can touch it and feel it and all of this. But it's not the same density as this physical earth here. So this is a completely different frequency, and it's harder to change just with a thought because of the agreements you have with the other beings that are also co-creating this dream world we call reality. Okay, so anyway, blah blah.
Ignoring and not perceiving what all the other radio stations are transmitting,
Yeah,
knowing
focus.
that although we cannot hear them, it doesn't mean that they are not there. The same thing happened for existential realms such as the astral. It's there, but people, in general, cannot perceptually tune into its specific frequency. Therefore they cannot see or perceive what is in it. When two things or two beings are not sharing the same vibration and frequency at all, they become incompatible and they ignore each other as if they weren't even there.
Yep.
They become mutually unreachable and with no influence on each other. But when there is some part or some compatible frequency range two things or beings share, influence can happen. Two or more very different and very incompatible beings that hold very different vibrations may influence each other when some part of them is the same as the one of the other. For example,
One of the techniques for dealing with entities, like you've got some kind of entity issue, right? One of the steps to take is to determine what you and the entity have in common. It can be a common emotion, common intention, something you both like, something you both hate, something you're both afraid of, a common belief. You both believe blah, blah, blah. Something will be in common, right? It's the common agreement. And so, yeah. The agreement also creates a frequency of agreement. It's not just an idea. It tunes you in so you can see each other and notice each other. So yeah.
psychopath and a positive starseed hold very different existential frequencies and vibes, but you as the observer may be able to spot them both walking past each other in the street because some part of them holds the same frequency.
Well, for one thing, they both hold a physical body, and they both agree they have a physical body that's walking down the sidewalk. That's just one simplistic phenomena there. But you both might like the same kind of music. A psychopath could like the same kind of music you like. I guess it's possible, right?
Human bodies have, as an example. They mainly share the same experimental realm of existence, 3D Earth and its matrix, but although they could physically touch each other, their mentality and their personal worlds differ so much that basically, one does not exist in the reality of the other.
Right, so you can walk down the street and see a psychopath and you're not upset by it. Maybe he could have just done some really terrible things, but you're on a completely different wavelength in this way, and you're seeing the world in a positive light, and things are getting good and they keep getting better if this is your personality and character and your mindset. Nothing. You're not affected. But if you have some fear of being molested or attacked or robbed or something like that, and you've got this energetic issue going in and it's not resolved, you haven't cleared it through emotional release or limiting belief release or something, and you've got this, it's lingering within your energetic frequency field, and it could be in common with an individual walking down the street, and it'll click and you will have this common reality of victim and perpetrator sort of thing. It's like if you got that, I could be robbed, and this guy's walking out, hey, I could rob somebody. Boom, bang, bam, oopsie. So yeah, just some ideas about this.
Unless something forces them to interact, and that something will also end up being a vibrational match for both, for one or another reason. And that small vibrational match corridor among them both is a piece of their personal worlds where there is compatibility.
Yeah.
It can be a taste for some kind of food, or activity, but it can be as simple as having similar thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
And it is through those small compatibility corridors that the world of the one can filter and influence the one of the other, so they can be very dangerous. This is how a heavily narcissistic person can enter the life of a positive starseed, and using its manipulator methods the narcissist can manipulate and even control the starseed, exploiting its attributes to its advantage, making them become weaknesses, for example exploiting the starseed's highly empathetic nature. Lower astral entities work in the exact same way. They can enter the lives of someone in the world of the living using any little bit of frequency compatibility they may share, especially when the astral entity has something to gain from doing that. The astral is full of entities of all kinds, and it is impossible to describe them all as it is an entire zoo, and not everything is known about them all. So as I go along making videos, I will be addressing the more common ones and the most problematic ones first. The most common ones and the ones that produce most of the problems are simply astral parasites. They are and behave exactly as physical, biological parasites do. They are only animals, similar to a leech or a worm, and they feed from the energy of their victims in different ways. When observed with sensitive non-human instrumentation, many of them have a jellyfish shape, like a blob or a blurry stain, and can be big or small. They can be attached to the aura, or energy field of a living person in a single way or in a swarm. The next common type is the larger and more complex astral entity that can have innumerable shapes, including the humanoid one, and can be very intelligent to the point where they can even develop their social dynamics and politics among their kind. These are very common and they can be very dangerous. Entire books can be written about them, and have been written about them. And on Earth it is usually this category that is associated with demons and evil presences, but not only. Then we have disincarnated people, the echo of lost souls who have lost their way back to source or are taking a lot of time to realize that they are no longer alive.
There's really not a lot to say about this. Yeah. Yep. And there are different techniques for these different kinds of entities that get into your space and are bothering you. Sometimes the same technique will work on this kind of entity and that kind of entity. Sometimes you want to get a little creative. But yeah. A big thing about dealing with entities is that they can get into your space, whether your energetic field, your aura, whatever you want to call it, your thoughts. And they can have thoughts, and you think they are your own thoughts. They can cause feelings and emotions, and you think they are your own emotions. And there's some emotional payoff for the emotion. It's weird, it's deep, but the trick is to practice being aware that this thought is not my thought, that feeling is not my feeling. And you may have been going for a lifetime thinking these certain kinds of thoughts are your own. They feel like your thoughts, and then when if an entity thinks a thought and you think it's your own, you can then take it from there. It's like it started the negative thinking, and now you, on your own, can continue the negative thinking, whether you're processing some weird threat or you're angry at something or whatever it might be. You can continue once the entity has triggered the thought. And now you're off and going. And your thoughts will trigger your own emotions. So maybe this thing started your shit storm in your head, but now you've taken over and continuing it. Or they can be contributing to your emotional shitstorm and interjecting things. And if you don't know the difference, you're the effect of these various kinds of entities, whether they're astral parasites, whether they're demons, whether they're deceased humans. It doesn't really matter in that regard. What really matters is your ability to distinguish between you and them, the consciousness that you are, but distinguish between your thoughts and their thoughts, and distinguish between your emotions and their emotions. This is part of it. And this is why some people will go to a psychic kind of individual, or being a person that helps others spot and handle and detach from entities, because the facilitator or the psychic can see, sense, and experience the psychic phenomena of the entity messing with your life. And so, with a psychic's help, you can then detach from the entity, and with a little guidance from the facilitators, you can start determining that, no, that isn't my thought. Oh, no, it's saying to me, it's talking to, and there's a separation between your consciousness and thinking and its. And so that's step one. And then there's different things you can do to get it to leave or make it go away or dissolve it or something. Okay? All right.
This happens a lot because they have strong attachments to things and aspects of the world of the living, and they are not willing or able to let go of them. Souls that are so afraid of being punished for the bad actions they made when alive, that they refuse to go back into the afterlife's higher realms, preferring to lurk in the echo of the physical world, in the coarse caricature of it known as the lower astral. This type is the one most associated with ghosts and apparitions, although there can be many causes for these. Astral leeches and parasites mostly feed from lower emotional energy and the fear of their victims, having little to no connection to source. These sorts of creatures are thought to be egregore-type manifestations their victims create, or as the result of the manifestation of the larger collective unconscious.
Now, the egregore is a mass consciousness or a group consciousness created entity. Okay, it's also called an informational energetic thought form because it's loaded with programs and information that is part of its structure, and it's energetic, and it is a thought form. So when two or more people think about the same phenomena of an entity or a beingness or a god or a goddess or a demon of some kind, the collective unconscious thinking of the group collectively and together imagine into existence this entity called an egregor, also known as a pendulum or an entity. Okay, so a lot of the fear that humans have of entities are these kinds of pendulum entity egregors. All right, so there's all kinds of those too, but there's ways to detach from those. You understand what they're about, how they work, what keeps them alive, and how you are contributing to its existence in your own intimate world. There's something that you will have in common with it. There's something that it has a payoff by you thinking about it and having feelings about it and having a relationship of some sort. It doesn't have to be a good relationship. It's like, yeah, there's this thing that keeps bothering me. Well, there's something about it and you that on a deeper level, there's a payoff. Somehow you are getting rewarded. It's weird, it's deep, it doesn't make sense, Rich. I know, right? It doesn't. But, or there's something that you're afraid of if you were to let it go. It's deep and subtle, and that was kind of advanced. I shouldn't have shared that with you. Anyway, let's continue.
Victim is immersed in. They are thought patterns that are taking a physical form because of.
Well, let's say, for example, you did something really terrible in a past life, okay? You were just a terrible person. You had an off lifetime. It's like you have a bad day. You had a bad lifetime. And so you went in the dark side and you're doing all this trashy shit. And then you drop dead and you feel really bad about it. So you come back and you want to pay for it. You want to do your karmic balance stuff. And it says, I harassed a lot of people. And so on some weird level of agreement that you don't remember now, you're agreeing to be harassed and fucked with. And now here you are in your life and you're trying to be a nice person, but now you're being harassed and fucked with by some entity. It's a thought form. It's an entity, egregor, demon. It doesn't fucking matter. But you're going, I wouldn't do this to myself. Yeah, you would. You would. I'm just saying. We've lived so many lifetimes and done so many different things, good, bad, right, wrong, where it's all over the place. And sometimes we want to pay for what we've done. It's called, you deserve it. You feel like you deserve it. You feel wrong, bad, or guilty on some deep level. Maybe you've buried it, and of course you forgot your past life, but it doesn't mean it's not still affecting you just because you can't remember consciously having made these decisions to pay for your sin, to make it right, or at least, I hit you, hit me back. Let's balance this out. Some weird, deep, spiritual reasoning for these various kinds of entities messing with you in this life. And in this life, you can't, for the life of you, figure out how come I can't get rid of this fucking thing. It's because you can't yet spot the exact agreements and considerations and beliefs and relationships you have with the particular entity that is messing with you. All right, just saying. And yeah, I work with another psychic. Together we do these psychic deep scans, and we help people that have entity issues. Just saying. Yeah. richwest.net, that's my website. You can check it out over there. But sorry Marie, don't mean to be promoting my shit in a reaction video. Please continue.
Of their strength and consistency. The problem with this kind of astral entity, as well as with a larger, more complex kind which is also believed to be the result of an egregore-type creation, is that they are very difficult to get rid of, if the living victim does not remove what it is interested in, whatever activity, thing or food they consume, or thought pattern that the entity wants.
Yeah.
For example, in the case of alcohol abuse or drug...
Yeah, you and the entity might be like old drinking buddies, man, in some past life. Or it likes the dopamine hit from a good fucking buzz, just like you do. It gets off on that. Now, it could have been human in a past life, or it could be just some astral fucking parasite. It's like you feed a dog, too much beer, and now the dog's a fucking alcoholic dog. Hey, puppy, what's up? Daddy, give me another beer, please. It's like weird shit like that. Yeah. So, yeah. Or it could be chocolate. It could be gluttony. It could be lust. Oh, yeah. Addictions of all kinds will likely have some entities attached, because the entities like that stuff too. And a thing to know, a person can drop dead in this life with some heavy addictions and be in the lower astral or in their afterlife still addicted to the nicotine or the alcohol or whatever. All right. So while you're in this physical experience, this is a good time to clean up your act if you need some cleanup. You feel like it's a good idea. If you want to live a wholesome, more loving life in your afterlife, yeah, get started today. Yeah. Anyway, please continue, Marie.
Drug consumption. The entity will telepathically influence the victim it is attached to
Yeah.
guide and influence it to continue to consume the alcohol or the drugs the entity desires.
Yeah, it's like you get these really strong compulsive thoughts. They're not always yours. Let's go get drunk. Let's get more whatever you're fucking smoking or drinking or eating or dropping. Wow. You might be on the road to recovery and going, let's not do this. I want to clean up my act. And you get these thoughts, or you get these feelings, this craving, this desire. It's very strong sometimes. And it's like, what the fuck? It's not even you. Your entity buddy, your fucking drinking buddy, is going, hey, let's get drunk, bitch. God, this is a drag. This is one bad fucking day. One drink, one hurt, nothing. It's like these thoughts are going on in your head. This is your fucking entity buddy wants to get drunk with you or get high with you or some weird shit. Anyway, just saying. Yeah.
This is very typical in the case of people who have an alcohol or drug problem, because many disincarnated spirits attach themselves to the living victim to benefit from the alcoholic or drug effects through the body of the living victim.
Yeah.
Remember, alcoholic beverages are usually called spirits, and that is
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah.
And because of this strong telepathic influence, it will be very difficult for the victim to get rid of the astral attachments and parasites, unless
Yeah.
the victim is strong enough to remove whatever is the entity's motivation long enough.
Be strong, my friend. Be strong. Yeah. Practice willpower. Yeah, yeah. Practice discipline. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do I do that, Rachel? Fuck you. You figure it out. No, you just do what you can do, man. You do what you can do. Your thoughts and your words have power. So pay attention to what you're thinking. And if you can't change or control your thoughts, because sometimes it's entities, it wasn't me thinking that, right? Sometimes, well, you can always control your words. If you say some dark shit, it's like, oh, another fucked up day. God damn it, I hate this fucking place. You just said that. It doesn't matter if an entity said that and you thought you said it, or you actually said it and an entity agreed with me. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Let's go get drunk, right? Doesn't matter. You are aware of what you're saying to yourself, your inner dialogue. And so you may not be able to control it, but you can notice it. Oh, another shitty fucking day. I'm going to get drunk. Those thoughts, you can be aware of. You go, oh, let me re-say that. The pruning shears of revision, Neville Goddard, revise what you just thought and said. And it doesn't matter if the actually entity thought it, not you. But you said it, internal dialogue, right? So just go, oh, you don't have to feel, you don't have to believe what you think or say, but you practice saying it. Instead of, so the thought comes in, oh, another shitty fucking day, I'm going to go get drunk. No, better not. You go, whoa. No, this is an absolutely wonderful day, and I'm high on life, right? You just say those words. You don't have to feel it. You don't have to believe it. You got to say it. Because you already said to yourself the negative. Now, you were probably feeling you had a vibrational match to what you were saying to yourself, and you're thinking about it and feeling about it. This can bring about it. If you contemplate and think about it and feel about it too much, it will manifest in your physical world. That's how manifestation works. So you can catch yourself, pay attention to what you're dialoguing internally, and go, whoa, no. And you practice just saying the words, just the words only. Because if you try to imagine you actually have this wonderful thing that you want, you go, that shit's, there's a background noise going on. It could be you or it could be entities going, that shit ain't happening, man. You're just bullshitting yourself. That thought can be lingering there. So you don't want to try to perfect the process of manifesting by actually imagining the wish fulfilled and believing it and assume that it's manifested, because it isn't, right? You go, I assume it's already manifested. It's not here, bitch, right? That happens. So, but you can think the words, say the words. It's a place to start. You got to start somewhere. Anyway, that's where I started. I'm doing pretty good for 76 years old. Yeah. Perfect health. Really good health. Not perfect, but really good, okay? I just say. And things keep getting better, and I started somewhere. You too. Start somewhere. And that was just a place to start. All right. Please continue, Maureen.
For example, completely quitting those drugs for a long time. The longer the better, although beware that there will always be some kind of latency remaining, where the same entity or another similar one may reattach themselves to the living victim if the conditions are right. One of the manipulator and control strategies entities use a lot on their victims is inducing the need for instant gratification and dopamine release, such as the one found while drinking, watching adult content, or overeating sugar and simple carbohydrates, among many others.
Yeah.
The victim falls into wanting instant gratification over more constructive and harder to obtain, and much greater benefits that are the result of focused effort with a clear objective, such as personal improvement, or a collective goal that benefits the many, with this falling into an auto-destructive dynamic and vicious circle. This will also cause an associated thought pattern in their victims where they cannot wait for what they want, needing it immediately and impatiently, causing the living victim to settle for whatever is at hand and in front of them now, instead of waiting patiently and working hard for a more desirable and convenient thing or outcome.
Yeah.
For example, impatiently settling for a lollipop now, instead of waiting for a whole meal and cake in 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
To be continued in the second part.
Well, thank you, Marie. Really appreciate it, and good stuff, good teachings, and that's what we do. We help wake up humanity one way and another. Okay. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching, and appreciate it. And if you got any comments, share them below. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Links to her video in the description and all that jazz. Okay.